go into the sciences and the maths and technology and engineering, things of that nature. So what I'm here to talk to you about today is how you as a parent can begin to partner with your child to ensure that they are ready for college, so that once they go to college, then they can be successful as college students. So my first question is, how many of you guys have middle school students? Okay. And how many of you have high school? Okay. Okay, so how many of your students will be the first in their family to actually get a college degree? Will any of them be first?
All of our.
Okay, be first generation. Right, so the question that I'm asking is do they have any of you guys completed a college degree, or will they be the first one in their families to complete a college degree? Okay, so mainly I'm asking that question because of course we see now that a bigger population of students are first generation college students. So of course that kind of affects the dynamics a little bit more when it comes to talking about ensuring that your child is college ready. But of course programs of this nature are essential to just educate parents to ensure that they know what is needed for their children, to advocate for them and to teach them how to advocate for themselves within the school systems. So number one, when we're talking about college readiness, we're basically talking about does the child or does the youth at that point, of course they don't want to be called a child anymore, but once they get ready to go into college, do they have the skill set? Do they have the content knowledge that they need to be successful in college once they go off? And of course what we're seeing today is that a lot of them do not. Because a lot of students that enroll in college today, about 60% of those students have to take remedial courses. So of course that means that they have not acquired the content knowledge that they need in high school to go right into the coursework that they need to be able to apply towards their degree. So that means that they're spending more money to take those remedial courses that are not counting towards their degree program. And then the statistics show that a lot of those students that actually go into remedial courses, they actually end up not completing their degree program. And of course there are a lot of dynamics and a lot of factors that go into that. Of course you got everything from how is that developmental education teacher, how are they teaching and motivating that student? Does that student get to a place where they feel like I'll never finish, so you know what, I'm just going to drop it, give up, maybe start back at a later time. So of course there are a lot of factors that go into why these students don't end up completing their degree, but the bottom line is that that is the case for a lot of students. And I see it, you know, we have alumni that come into our office, and a lot of them are struggling with their first year courses because there's not enough of a bridge between high school and college to really prepare those students. And a lot of them really don't know what they should be doing in high school to prepare themselves, because a lot of them want to just skate through high school and say, okay, I just want to get done, I want to get finished, and really are not thinking about how it's going to impact them once they become college students. So really, the reason why college readiness, if you really pay attention, I mean, on a federal level, you will hear a lot about college readiness even on a local level when you're talking about just your school, your public schools, period. A lot of schools are really trying to figure out how to address the issue of college readiness. And the main reason why is because there is a big demographic shift that has taken place in our college population. So of course, traditionally, the majority of college students were Caucasian individuals that had money and were able to go and pay for themselves to go to college. Now that the college access umbrella is a lot bigger, and pretty much anybody that wants to go to college can go to college, you have a different demographic population on college campuses. So of course now you have your public schools, you have your colleges really trying to figure out how do we begin to cater to these students so that we can retain them and ensure that they are successful. So of course this is a big issue, and really from my perspective it's really everybody's problem, because if we are going to be a majority minority population in about 20 years, then of course that means that we have to make sure that our youth are going to be successful. Not just that they are going to go to college. Because like I said, really there are so many colleges in the United States of America. I can't even remember how many thousands of colleges that exist in the United States of America. And so really anybody that wants to go to college at any point in time can go to college. But does that mean that that person is going to be successful in college? That's a whole nother question that you ask. Not just do they have access, because yes, they have access, but can they be successful? And so, of course, there's a big gap when you look at our traditional college student, when you look at our Caucasian college students, and when you compare them to our African American and our Hispanic college students. The numbers are significantly different between the numbers of those students that are actually graduating with a bachelor's degree. So definitely this is an issue that all of us really have to really think about and really start figuring out what is our role in trying to address that. So as a parent, of course, that's something that we have to think about. I have my daughter, of course, she's a senior this year, so she's getting ready to go to college. So of course, even though it's my job every day, it's a little different when you're a parent thinking about how to ensure that your child is going to be successful when they go off to college. And so a lot of things that I've been doing with her this year are really have nothing really to do with academics. As parents, a lot of times our role is to ensure that our children have the other skills that they need to be successful. We see a lot of college students a lot of times that come into the office with simple questions. But I put simple in quotation marks because for us they're simple because we've experienced those things and we went through them. But when they become, and they're still young adults, when they first go off into college, it's like they're like a fish out of water. So even, you know, just going into college doesn't mean that they have transitioned into adulthood, because they're not. They're still young adults that are trying to figure out how to be successful in a totally different world. And so college for them is totally different. Even if they live in Milwaukee, go to school in Milwaukee, it's different than being at home and going to high school. And then another thing that I've done a lot of research on, as parents, we have to understand too that when they transition, they're being pulled in a lot of different directions. So of course, home is pulling on them and school is pulling on them. A lot of them work. A lot of our alumni, they still work, so they're trying to work. They're trying to make sure that everything at home is okay. And then they're trying to be a successful college student. So all of these really play a role in whether or not this student is going to be able to make all of this stuff come together and work for them as a college student. So as parents, while we're preparing them, we really need to think about what are the skills that my child needs to be successful. Or can they think critically? Can they think outside of the box? A lot of students cannot. If you ask them, well, what do you think? I don't know. I don't know. You tell me what to think. Because they're so used to being taught and being told, this is the answer, this is what you think, this is how. And that's why I said there's not a bridge that kind of bridges the gap between middle school, high school, and then college. Because in college, nobody's going to tell you what to think. They're going to give you the assignment and tell you to make it happen. So a lot of students, of course, that's a big transition. So as parents, we have to start challenging them and forcing them to think outside of the box. Start cultivating some of those critical thinking skills. A lot of the soft skills that our students need, they don't get in the classroom, because the classroom is really not necessarily intended for development of soft skills. Now we see that a lot more now because, again, schools are trying to find out how do we ensure that we have a well-rounded student that is able to be successful in college. So you see a lot more concentration on 21st century skills, soft skills that students need to go to college, be successful, and come out and be able to work in the workplace. Socializing, totally foreign to our youth. If they can't text it, tweet it, Facebook it, then they don't know what, you know, I might tell my daughter, you call. Why I gotta call? Can you just call for me? You know, can you talk to them for me? Because they're not used to that face-to-face, you know, interaction that it takes to be successful in the real world. You have to talk to people. You have to know how to verbalize. So again, forcing them to do those type of things as young adults, because that is something that has to happen. A lot of times our students, minority students, will not ask questions in class. They just will not, because they don't want to look dumb, they don't want to look stupid, they don't want to look not cool, and all these type of things. So they refrain. Do you have a question? I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, like, a lot of these colleges are going virtually just online.
Right, right. And I mean, and that's
personal skills.
right. And a lot of that, of course, is to tailor to their budget. Really, a lot of, you know, that is more of a, you know, an economic, right, exactly, that's more of an economic, because of course a lot of budgets are being cut. Like at UWM, we're in the midst of a budget cut, you know, because Scott Walker is saying, well, we got to get rid of
say that's government.
Right, we got to get rid of, 30 million or however many every million that needs to be gotten rid of, and of course some of it has to come from colleges. So of course that the online portion, of course there are multiple factors that say why colleges do that, but of course one of them is to increase access. Because you have a lot of non-traditional students like myself. I got my master's and my PhD online because I was a single mom.
But you got it.
Right, exactly. And of course that goes back to those soft skills. Persistent. Somebody that's determined. Somebody that is not going to give up. Somebody that says no matter what's going on, it might be difficult, it might be challenging. But and those are the type of skills, like my daughter this year, she was taking a trigonometry class. Oh my God, it's just so hard, I should just forget it. So you can't do that. That's not life. Life doesn't work like that. It doesn't hand everything to you, on a silver platter. So if you're going to be successful, some things you may not be 100% at, but if you don't give up, then eventually you will get there. So those are the type of things that, as parents, we have that type of influence over our young children that their teachers and others may not have. We actually should have more influence over them than anybody else. And of course we have, and something I like to say a lot, even if you've never been to college, even if you didn't graduate from college, there is a role that you play in your child's life. You may not be able to do every single thing, and that's what resources like this are for. Resources like your upper bound programs and those things of that nature. Those programs partner with parents to ensure that they have the knowledge and the resources they need to be able to help their children be successful. But again, yes.
What is the date for the enrollment date for the upper bound program?
Well, we have a rolling admission. We just pretty much admit until we're full. So we pretty much, of course, we admit our target schools first. And then if we have seats left over, then we continue to admit students that may be outside of our target area. But we pretty much, like right now, I think we might have like 5 spots. I'm not sure what up and down classes have. But we may have like 5 spots that's still open. But of course, once our seniors graduate and then we start back in the fall, then we'll have more seats because I think we have about 14 seats. You can come in anytime and actually get a packet at any time, because even if your child doesn't get admitted this year, then next year, right, because we keep it on file even if, they don't get admitted right away. So that's something, that's available to you. So definitely, that's always one of my, key messages is utilize your resources. If you don't know, there's somebody that knows. And teach that to your young people. Teach them to utilize their resources. Don't take no for an answer. If they have something that they desire to do, there is somebody that can make that happen for them. And so, as young children, that we have to teach them. We have to put those type of traits in here, because some people are born that way. But some people are not. Like me, I was a first-generation college student. My parents didn't go to college. They wanted me to go. But of course, I knew nothing, and they couldn't really help me. And I'm from Georgia. We didn't have an upper bound. We had no type of pre-college programs. I had one high school counselor, and that was about it. And I pretty much had to do everything that I could just to make college happen for me. But everybody is not like that. Everybody doesn't have that resourcefulness or that go-getting attitude. So sometimes we have to kind of cultivate those skills in young people to let them know that anything that you want to do is possible. You may not necessarily have the resources, you may not have the financial resources, but some of our kids are so intelligent that if they access the right resources, they can get college paid for them. They can get all type of resources if they just reach out. So really teaching them how to advocate for themselves when they're in school. Teaching them that they need to be taking the right courses. So when they graduate, they can go into the degree program that they're like. My son wants to be an engineer. I'm telling him now, he's 9th grade. If you want to be an engineer, you got to hit your math and sciences hard. You can't play with it. You can't just say, well, I want to take all the easy classes. No, you need to be taking some honors classes. You need to be taking some AP classes. You need to challenge yourself, because not just every little Joe can be an engineer. So if you have students that are saying, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, you have to advocate for them and let them know there's a certain skill set that you need. And of course, college counselors, or not college counselors, but high school counselors, like my daughter's high school counselor, I have emailed this woman I don't know how many times, and asked me how many emails I got back. but I'm not blaming her for it because she's bald. She's the only high school counselor in the whole school. So, you know, I understand that from, you know, from my perspective and from my position, I know that. So guess what? I have to teach my daughter, you look, you can't give up. You got to knock her door down. You got to meet her when she walk in the door. Do whatever you got to do to get what you need done, because it's not necessarily her fault that she's over, you know, burdened. She doesn't have the help that she needs. But this is happening in schools all over. So, of course, we have to teach our children, advocate for yourself. Yeah.
And one of the things, and speaking on that, I remember when I was in school, I was at Milwaukee back in the early 80s. And as far as guidance counselor go, you know, at that time, it was majority Caucasian at that time. So we didn't get slips from the guidance counselor saying, you know, what are your goals and stuff for college. And so, you know, I didn't think about it at first, but then when I went out on my own and went to UWM and got the paper, I said, oh, and by the way, you should be expecting something from UWM. And they kind of gave me a look like, oh, you're going to college?
Right.
Yes, I am.
Right.
So, like she said, you have to make sure that you stay on the guidance counselors, because it's not intentional, but at that time it was, because they didn't expect us to go. It was there were only 100 African Americans at Milwaukee Lutheran at that time.
Right.
And so they just looked at us like, okay, you're here, you know, you go ahead and finish